When a mysterious force pushes the moon out of its orbit, it leaves it on a collision course with Earth. Soon, a ragtag team of astronauts make their way up to the moon to find out what happened and how they can stop it. This is Moonfall. Roland Emmerich is back to direct his upteenth disaster movie. And the guy has something against Earth, I imagine. I mean, who doesn't these days? Well, you know. I have to say, I was kind of mildly interested in this. I thought, you know, the idea sounded interesting and kind of scary. It would have made for a good disaster movie. But sadly, I just don't feel the film is a good enough disaster movie. It's more of a sci-fi movie, if anything. First off, let's start with the cast. Halle Berry is an Oscar-winning actress. I expect a great performance from her, and this performance, it just screamed rent was due. Patrick Wilson looks distractingly similar to Chris Pratt in this movie. Even his character kind of reminded me of Owen Grady a bit. Yes, I'm the only person that actually knows Chris Pratt's character's name from Jurassic World. I will say I really enjoyed the character played by John Bradley. I thought he delivered a great amount of humor to the film, and I just really enjoyed his character and arc throughout it. Roland Emmerich is known for his disaster movies. It's kind of his thing. But sadly, this film, it's not a disaster movie. It's very minimal disaster in it. I'd say there's maybe one cool scene around the end of the movie when in New York, but other than that, the movie's just kind of lackluster in the terms of the destruction and the disaster department. Kind of left me wanting more. If anything, this is a science fiction movie. There's no rhyme or reason to the moon falling that could actually feasibly happen. It's just left me going, okay, so this is just Independence Day light. Makes sense because it's the only Roland Emmerich movie that is fondly remembered. This film could have been 30 minutes shorter. There's almost two different stories going on, one up in space, one on Earth, because you can't really do a disaster movie on Earth if it's up in space for the entire time. I get that, but at the same time, you don't do anything with the disaster stuff, so kind of just throws it away. Could have just thrown the whole road trip plot line away, and you might have had at least a salvageable movie, but it's there, and it just kind of ruins it for me. Michael Pena is part of the road trip plotline, and I'm like, did he piss off the director or something? Because I was like, man, he got the shaft in this movie. I really wish this film leaned more into the idea of the moon being on a collision course with Earth, and how that can scientifically happen. I'm not saying make like an Interstellar kind of smart movie, because as a Marvel fan, I wouldn't understand that at all. But I just have to say that would have made for a much better movie, and honestly, a more terrifying movie. Because to be honest, science can be pretty scary. At the end of the day, this film just comes off as a film that's just a mix mash of a bunch of other films. Like, it feels like an Independence Day light movie with a lot of other films in it. There's even one scene in particular that reminded me a lot of Captain Marvel of all Marvel movies. I'm like, I don't even hate that movie, but if you're going to rip off a Marvel movie, at least rip off one people widely like. Honestly, the idea of it ripping off a Marvel movie is hilarious given Roland Emmerich's words toward comic book movies in general. And I quote, because naturally, Marvel and DC Comics and Star Wars have pretty much taken over. It's ruining our industry a little bit, because nobody does anything original. You see, when Martin Scorsese or Ridley Scott say something against Marvel or DC, at least then it means something, because at least they can make a good movie. In the end, this just isn't the movie I wanted or enjoyed at all. I wanted just a silly disaster movie with, characters that I could forget about, but, some decent effects, and I just didn't even get that. If you're looking for a disaster movie, this isn't the one for you. In fact, it's quite the disaster at being one. If you're looking for a bad sci-fi movie to watch and maybe play a drinking game with, there might be something to have fun with here. I just don't see myself rewatching this anytime soon. If you enjoyed this review, please hit the like button. And if you want to see more, hit the subscribe button and be sure to ring that bell. Until next time, I'm Quentin Dunaway telling you to keep it cinematic.